We have just a very brief formal program here, so we can tell you a little bit about the show. For those who don't know, my name is Sean Latham. I'm the Polly McFarland Walter Professor of English at the University of Tulsa, as well as the Director of the Oklahoma Center for the Humanities, and we operate this building now here, our newest acquisition at the university, 101 Archer. We're delighted that you could all come out this evening. This is actually one of the very first events that we've done in this space. We're still moving in. We're working on the lawn. It will get better. We didn't intend for it to look like this mud puddle that it is today. And of course, this evening you also have an opportunity not only to see the show, about which I'll say a few words in a moment, but this is the Mayfest Invitational Gallery. We don't have it labeled yet, but we also are glad you'll have a chance to get a sneak preview before anybody else in Tulsa, except our installers, of what our Mayfest galleries are going to look like as well. So I want to say just a few words about the Humanities Center and about the sort of background of the show, and then I want to introduce the curator and the head of the nonprofit that has brought all of this to us, Caroline Cappy. So the Humanities Center really has existed at TU for almost 10 years now, and we have two essential missions. The first of which is to act as a think tank on campus, and to do that work, we pull together faculty members, students, and members of the community who come together each year around a single theme that we think can only be fully and richly addressed using the distinctive tools of the arts and humanities. So throughout this year, we've actually been working on the theme of freedom. It's this really complicated concept about which we vehemently disagree among ourselves, and yet we often count as one of our most foundational values, both in the United States and of course around the world. So in addition to that group that's been working steadily and hard throughout the year on campus, we host between now 40 and 45 public programs every year, including exhibitions like the one that you see tonight. This is actually the very last freedom program that we're doing this year. Our focus will turn next year to the theme of movement. And throughout this year, we've looked at everything from cancel culture to book banning and all kinds of other things. But sort of one of those happy circumstances occurred where a friend of a friend of a friend said, I've got this really interesting show. This person here in Tulsa knows somebody whose granddaughter has put together this phenomenal nonprofit that's doing incredible work with children in Ukraine. So they've gathered together this children's artwork as well as some adult artwork, and they've put together a show that's now in New York, and they would love to bring to Tulsa. That, of course, is now the show that you're able to see tonight, Painting the Future. And as you can see, if you've looked at the walls or read any of the commentary, it's all artwork by children in Ukraine, many in orphanages, all of them displaced by the war. And Caroline's created this astonishing nonprofit to help them, right? To help in the midst of war and suffering and deprivation, loss of parents, loss of family, loss of village, loss of schools, right? That with all of that, they still have this incredible urge to create, to find joy, to find hope, to find a way of imagining themselves into the future. That's the future that you see on the walls. There are many things here that we find particularly moving and striking. Everything from the war panorama that's on the back wall here. These American flags really stood out to us when we put the show up, sort of made my patriotic heart beat a little bit harder about what America can still stand for in the world, and I'm very proud that we've been able to put together a show like this and to make this really one of the first things that we do at the Humanities Center. Our mission is very much to remain engaged with the community. We acquired this phenomenal space in part because we want to keep this as the living heartbeat of the arts and humanities here in Tulsa. This is the gateway to the Arts District. This is a place that we want to make as inclusive as possible. As Brad Carson said when we opened this, the president of the University of Tulsa, we want to make this the most dynamic and inclusive art space in America, and I think this exhibition is the first step to being able to do that. I don't want to say anything more about the show because all of this came down to the genius and hard work of Caroline, who I gather now I learned surprised her grandparents by traveling to the Ukraine, and in the process doing all of this phenomenal work. So I hope you'll please join me in welcoming Caroline to the stage so she can tell you about the work she's doing.
All right, I'll take this off. First off, anyone in the back, do you want to sit down?